Why would you use ketchup? So it's not productive. It's just
It all ages.
And by the way, the reason people don't take vacation
Well, good morning, Gate City Rotary.
Good morning.
Everyone staying warm this morning? You're all like Tom and you left your coat in the car and ran. All right, so I haven't heard from Ralph, but I'm assuming someone in this room knows that they have the invocation, hopefully. If not, I will need a volunteer.
I will. That's
Your call, Steve. Well, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for another year, God, that we can serve one another in service, serve our community with the club, God, and serve you with our lives. Lord, let this day, with all the cold and the weather and the different challenges that we face, bring blessings that are unexpected and keep everybody safe, all our children that are out in the cold and especially those that are less fortunate, God, keep them safe. Give us eyes to see where you would have us move. In your heavenly name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the things we think, say, and do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you very much. So, Sergeant at Arms report.
Good morning. Mr. Kelly Harold, I guess this morning.
Yeah, I'll introduce him in just a minute.
Okay. We also have our guest speaker, which will also be introduced.
And we do have Alex with us. We're actually going to do the induction for him next week. So, happy to have you here. Birthdays and anniversaries.
I've got that today. So we had a birthday last week, Chris Justice, congratulations. Doesn't look any older. Wait, hang.
Or was it?
A couple of membership anniversaries. Ben Bracken, thanks for hanging around for a year.
Yeah.
And Ashley Wigglesworth, 5-year anniversary. So that's it.
So speaking of the fact that it's Ben's 1-year anniversary, I guess, Dennis, do you want to
Yes.
do the blue badge?
We're going to do that thing to it.
Secret handshake.
All right.
Yeah.
It's taken us a year. However, we now have a blue badge.
All right, good.
All right, so for announcements, I did send out, Crowder's mother passed away. The funeral is this weekend. It's Saturday at 1 p.m. At Holy Trinity Episcopal Church. I will certainly be there. Would be great if we had other Gate City Rotarians there that we could sit together. So we'd love to encourage you to do that.
Emily, is there a visitation after or before?
It's
after.
It is after, okay.
In Holy Trinity.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can do it super afterwards. So again, I'll certainly be there. Look for me. We can figure it out in terms of sitting together. Let's see now, Dennis, you also wanted to do, I know you put another bite in your mouth.
House stamps was on the Christmas lighting. We're going to take it down Saturday morning. We got 3 commitments to be there at 10 o'clock. It's not going to take us very long. Looking for 2 or 3 more people. We can knock us out probably in about 45 minutes. Do I have any commitments this morning? Someone want to raise a hand and say they're going to do it?
Saturday at what time?
10 o'clock.
If
So
we could be there about 11.
we'll be done by then. Okay. All right.
You sent an email back?
Yeah, I can see what I will.
That'll count as makeup, so. Makeup. I guess I don't see Rob here, so. Maybe another.
I saw how anybody sees this New Year's? I saw it the day before he left the hospital. He looked terrific, so much better than he did last time I saw him.
Any other announcements? Say Kelly?
Yes, I'll introduce my guest. Well, most of you probably, if you had any standing water out last night, could have skated into Rotary. But we got a bigger skating event coming to Greensboro, and I'd like to introduce Kim Strabel. Kim is the president of the Greensboro Sports Commission and has been instrumental in attracting U.S. Figure Skating National Championships to Greensboro the last time they were here. And then they start arriving next week for this year's event. He's going to tell us a little bit about it. Kim, let's welcome Kim Strabel.
Okay, I don't have a powerful voice, so I usually go to my pleasure to be with you this morning, and I've been given 3 to 4 minutes, so I'm going to try to talk fast. I use a 3.5 by 5 card. I remember being with Hill Caro, our promoter, back when we had the Shibitani brothers sisters here to promote the event, and Hill was grousing about how hot it was, and nobody's going to buy tickets because it's so daggone hot. Well, here you go, Hill. You know, we caught up with it. But show of hands quickly, how many of you actually attended at least one session of the event in 2011? Show of hands. Not bad. Okay, that's more than I usually get at these service club meetings, and we hope that you'll come out. In 2011, it was a real big risk for U.S. figure skating. They were skeptical that our market was big enough, that we had enough interest in the South for figure skating. As Kelly said, they were tight like this. They were afraid of a lot of things, but we blew the doors off. 161,000 attendees for that 10-day event. It was a post-Olympic year, but we flat out just blew the doors off. So it was the first time in event history where they were able to have all of the elements in one location under one roof. And with our Coliseum complex, we were able to have, obviously, the main arena has converted into an ice rink. The Special Event Center, Hall C is what we call it, the big hall. Another sheet of ice, which will actually be used for, it was used in practice in 2011, it will actually be used for some competition this year. Then we actually did a third sheet of ice in our Fan Fest area over in the other Hall B. So first time they'd ever experienced that. Folks raved about it. There's about, I'd say, 1,500 people from almost every state in the country, some foreign countries, who will be here. Folks follow this sport, and they'll come. They're going to be delighted. They would rave about Greensboro, but they're going to love it because in 2011 we didn't have padded seats. They weren't as wide as the ones we have now. Our Jumbotron was about half the size that it is now. We have new entertainment spots there, so they're going to be thrilled with the changes. But just very quickly, this will be a bigger event this year than it was in 2011. They've expanded the field to, I think we had 250 athletes in 2011. We'll have 400 this time. The event was about a $27 million estimated economic impact for Greensboro, which didn't include what they estimate the media value with live television and so forth, and the ICE network, about another $25 million. We have some great personalities. If you watched the Olympics in Sochi last year, we have, I think, 12 Olympians who were there in Sochi will be here, including Gracie Gold, was our winner last year, a female. Jason Brown, who's a crowd favorite. They love him, was a silver medalist. He'll be here. They've got, I'm trying to read Hill's notes that he sent to me. He said the impact for the hotels, and Kelly will tell you that, is tremendous, in the restaurants and so forth in Greensboro. But the big thing about this event, far more than others, while there is sponsorship, and that's pretty much in the barn at this point, but ticket revenue is really what makes this thing float, if it's going to float. That was one of the big risks last time. So if you have not purchased a ticket, I speak to a lot of mostly male groups, and I always say it's either a smart male group or a not so smart male group. Smart male groups realize that Valentine's Day is just over the hump, and it's a great Valentine's gift to take your loved one or your mother or your mother-in-law to an event, because while some men aren't really huge fans of figure skating, women are. and they love it. So please keep that in mind. If you haven't gotten your tickets, they're available through the Coliseum on Ticketmaster. Thank you very much.
What are the dates? I may have missed it.
The dates begin on the 17th. The competition begins on the 17th and runs through the 25th. This is no different than any other sport tournament in the sense that as it builds and as it moves into the latter stages, that's when you get down to your finalists, and that last weekend is pretty special because that's when you'll crown. I think there's going to be 20 champions crowned at this event. The very last night they do what's called a skating spectacular. Smuckers is the sponsor of that, but it's a little bit of Hollywood. It celebrates all of the winners. They all skate for that. They usually have a couple celebrities. We're hoping it's Davis and White, the dancing pair. They took a year off from competition, but we know they're coming to Greensboro. We just don't know what they're doing. But we think that they're targeted probably to skate for that. But 17th through 25th. So please get out and buy a ticket. Thank you.
So, Happy Dollars.
Happy dollars.
$100.
Chris was just telling me how cute the girls are at the skating thing.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. I discovered today that one of our members is going to have a national honor. In the antiques world, it's like winning the Super Bowl. Tom Sears is going to be doing a presentation about the restoration of his house in Williamsburg at an antiques forum in February. And it's a big deal. So I just want to say hats off to Tom for
Tom, you got anything to say about it?
It's a great honor.
Yeah, it is. It's a big deal.
It's a national forum. To be asked to speak is it's a gift.
Cool.
That's the
I'm
most
doing my
excited
first
I've seen.
time.
I know.
I feel like I had been forever with the holidays and all, but I did miss the Santa breakfast because my son, Miles, was graduating from NC State with a mechanical engineering degree. The best news is he accepted a job offer this week with
That didn't take long.
Yeah.
Near Hitachi in Kirksville.
All right. Super. Like I said, they're not out of the nest till they're off their cell phone.
Off the cell phone plan.
That's the goal. Jonathan.
I'm going over to the other side next Thursday morning. Matt Kiwanis has invited me to speak to him about the light Christmas ball. My wife says he doesn't know that much, so don't get him started. I was with Sam Cole yesterday. You know, Sam, the grandfather of this club. Sam said, you know, the only people besides Jonathan Smith that's in the newspaper 5 times in December is criminals.
Well, my son Wilder went off to Europe on one of these 10-day, 40-city whirlwind tours, and he didn't get arrested. He was involved in the biggest incident they had, but fortunately he didn't get sent home, mainly because one of the other chaperones' children was there and they couldn't send him home. Because then the parents would have to come home. So
Who did he marry?
We all survived. Well,
I'm good
yeah.
Where is he?
He went to Europe. He was in Rome at the moment of that incident. But he redeemed himself. There was something that happened on New Year's Eve in Innsbruck, and the group got split up. There were 4 boys, 16 girls, and 10 or 12 chaperones. And there was a loud boom, and part of the group went this way, part of the group went that way. Well, Wilder found one of the teachers that was on the trip and 3 other women and helped them find their way back to the hotel by 4 o'clock in the morning. So he redeemed himself.
Go.
That's right. He redeemed himself. They all like him now. He found Doc Cal rather boring. But Saturday afternoon, we got a call from Mark Walker, our new congressman. He said, "You haven't responded. Why? We haven't heard from you. Are you coming up for my swearing-in ceremony?" I said, "Well, I hadn't heard anything about it. I know people are going, but I hadn't been invited." So anyway, we went up, left Monday morning, and went up there, and it was really cool. He had 4 tickets to get people on the floor, and he has a wife and 3 kids, and so the rest of us, including his father and Kelly's mother and all that, sat in his offices and watched it on C-SPAN.
Cool.
That's what behind the scenes looks like.
Well, Grandpappy always had the great advice. You know, the new year, you're making your resolutions, and he said, if nobody comes from the future to stop you from doing it, how bad of an idea can it really be?
That's a lot of insight.
Wise advice, wise advice. All right, so I think we'll introduce our speaker for this morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Dan.
I don't think Marion Goldwasser has joined us this morning and says she is raised in Montgomery County, but not in North Carolina, north of Philadelphia. She graduated from Chapel Hill in '64 and served 4 years teaching the Peace course in Uganda. Marion received her master's from Stanford and then taught 24 more years in Carroll County. But I didn't catch where in Carroll County.
Virginia.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Followed by 15 more years in Mount Airy, North Carolina. As foundation chair for the Mount Airy Rotary, she has overseen 4 global grant projects. She lives with her husband Mike on a 250-acre beef cattle farm, has one daughter who's a consultant for Bilotti in Atlanta, and another daughter who's a social worker for the juvenile justice system in St. Louis, where they need a lot of juvenile justice officers. Marion, thank you very much.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm delighted to be here again. I was here when Skip was the president, and you treated me very beautifully. I love your breakfast. I love the members of your club that I know. And I'm going to be talking about our project in Uganda. It's a global grant. And we have done a number of projects there before. Which I point out simply because we've got a kind of a track record there. And we worked with this very first project that the Kitkin Rotary ever did. And they are so committed. In fact, they're raising $1,000 themselves, which you need to put a zero on to realize how much of an impact that is for their salaries. That's just really like, I wanted them to know that the money didn't just drop from trees. So we're working in northern Uganda, and if you see the red at the top, you see Kitgum. Let's see. It's a former British colony, excuse me for the picture, but that was taken by a missionary who gave me her pictures. So they speak English, that makes it easy. Kampala is a national city, so looks pretty nice. The Nile River runs north, and the people that we work with are Nilotic people. They're very close to the Nile. And that's the breadbasket of the country. In fact, it's so fertile that Egypt has bought swaths of land there and is growing corn. The elephant is the symbol of the people we work with, the Acholi people. And I don't know what you know about elephants, but if an elephant is in trouble, they help each other. And they even go by and greet the bones of their ancestors. So they're kind of incredible creatures. Just like the elephant, the Acholi support each other. They had 8 years of Idi Amin. They had 30 years of Joseph Kony, who kidnapped over 40,000 children and used some of them for, all of them for soldiers, some of them for wives. But the nice thing, on their building, they have, with forgiveness comes peace. They also have the monument with the same thing. So you remember Archbishop Tutu. It's the same idea, and they actually have a ceremony for reconciliation and forgiveness that they do. So it's, for me, and for all of us who work there, it's a real pleasure to work with people who help themselves and have good values. Forget the woman on the right, she's a friend of mine, but the one on the left is 70 years old. She was just released from an internally displaced people's camp, and she hoed 3 acres by hand and built her hut. So yes, they're back on track. There's a good friend of mine, and that's what a compound looks like, which is kind of, I think, very neat. That would sort of be our living room. They sweep every day. The markets are thriving. It's a Christian country for the most part, 12% Muslim. And you can see why they pray before every trip. There's no AA there. And we got behind that guy, and they had to dig themselves out basically with one shovel and a pole. But they did it. These are the grants that we have done. And the last one is the one we're working on right now. The first one, we had the Rotaractors help us with it, a well at the university. Also a 7-seat latrine for St. Paquita, which was pretty cute because when I got there, they were still walking out of the overflowing one that had been condemned. And I said, why? And they said, we were waiting for you so we could have a celebration for the new latrine. That was at YYOCOT Senior Secondary, and it's a changing and washroom for girls, handling their menses, and there they are. You would never see this in the United States, but we gave them, they're sort of like diapers, but they're afro pads. You can use them over and over, and they're very excited. They're waving them in the air. The project we just finished was saving lives of mothers and children with a mobile clinic. And we do a lot of, because Rotary really wants this, and I think it's excellent, we do a lot of planning with them. So first of all, we presented the project idea after talking with the board, their board, to the Rotary Club and to the district governor of their district, up on the upper left. Then we planned with the Rotary Club down on the right, and over on the left we met with all the village elders of the villages that we were going into to make sure everything was okay and where they wanted us to meet. I like the quotes from the Rotarians. We are in full control with the best of resourceful people. And I think that's another thing Rotary's really pushing now, that we don't do the project for them. There's the idea with the project is we went out to villages that were so far away from any brick and mortar clinic that they couldn't get any medical care at all. We really wanted to focus on children under 5 and pregnant women with intervention there. We had HIV/AIDS tests, malaria tests, treatment, inoculations for all the children, ultrasounds. They love the ultrasound. And there we are out at an old school, inoculating, weighing. The market clinics are up there 50 miles away from any clinic that we would recognize as a clinic. And one of the things we did is we really encouraged the women, if they were with a problem, pregnancy with twins or whatever, to walk and get to a good clinic. So we had one unfortunate experience where a woman walked 15 miles, gave birth to her first twin, picked it up, and walked the rest of the mile to the clinic, and then had her second twin. So that's a problem. There are midwives, the nurses working with the children, checking for HIV/AIDS, malaria, checking the children, the ultrasound. And there's a president and a past president on the left. And Gladys Abair is also the head of YYOCOT, a school for 800 girls. And if she became president of Uganda, that place would be terrific. She's unbelievable, unbelievable. We also took a VTT, a vocational training team, to work with the project. And there we are working with them, working with the Kicking Club. And there's some of the people we trained. And we also project this on the radio all over northern Uganda and in the Sudan, southern Sudan, so they know what's going on. And I guess for that reason, we targeted 16 villages, but 39 came. So we thought that was great. Yeah. Okay, our proposed project now is a WASH project, and we did a lot of planning April 2014 with the Gitgum Rotarians. We also had the district health officer, the chief administrative officer, the head of St. Joseph's, the head of the Catholic hospitals in the north, 2 Mount Airy Rotarians, and the district water office representatives. So a lot of people involved. And then I just met December 14th with World Vision, and they are thinking of partnering with us, which I'm very excited about. They would match everything we raise. Now, what we decided to do this time is we looked at the project we just completed, and we looked at the most frequent medical problems, and they were respiratory illnesses, worms, diarrhea, and malnutrition. So we felt like we had to do some prevention on this project. For respiratory illnesses, there's a rocket stove that was designed by 2 Rotarians in California, which uses 1/4 of the wood that normal stoves use there. So that's a real bonus for not cutting down the forest. And it has virtually no particulate, so they're not breathing all that stuff for the illnesses. There's what it looks like. It's just used from mud, their own stuff. And there it is. For diarrhea and malnutrition, a big problem, it's the most common killer of children under 5 in sub-Saharan Africa, diarrhea. 1 in 5 deaths are due to diarrhea for children. 29,000 in Uganda alone die from this. Why? Because it prevents the absorption of nutrients and heightens the risk of infection. So how do we deal with that? In order to prevent schistosomiasis, trachoma, diarrhea, soil-transmitted worms, we want access to safe water, sanitation, and good hygiene. So we also want to train the village health team and traditional birth attendants to diagnose and treat malnutrition. One of the things we saw when we were working last year was that mothers who have babies that aren't thriving continue to breastfeed them. And if the baby is 9 months old and has an arm like that, you don't continue to breastfeed them without supplementing, and they weren't supplementing at all, not at all. World Vision, and we believe this too, we want to eliminate totally open defecation because they're well, you know why. A good way to get worms to pass things on. So we want to build latrines and rubbish pits. Rubbish pit's a British word for kind of a burn pit for all your junk. This will prevent the spread of worms, diarrhea, land degradation, and water pollution. And there's this neat toilet. I love Rotary this way. I called the district that Hillsville's in. We're right next to Hillsville in Virginia. And I talked to their district governor, and he said, look, we're going to give you DDF, but I recommend strongly that you do the microfill toilet that Dr. Mecca developed and got a Paul Gates fellowship for, or money for, whatever it is. And so I'm going to show you that in a minute, but it answers so many problems to me. We also want to be sure that we do the education so that behavior change and understanding occurs. You don't want to just go in and do this and then have them go back to what they did before. So they have to know why it's good for them, why their children will live longer, and so forth. The one thing about the education is it's been shown you don't sustain a project unless they understand why they're doing it and they're involved and supportive. They have to own that work. There's a tip-tap hand washing station. There's a traditional latrine, which is fine, but I love this, and I'm trying to talk World Vision into doing it. Microflush toilet, you notice it's got a little hand washing place over here. You use 150 cc's of water and soap. That gray water is saved and it's used to flush the toilet. That's all you need. It separates the urine from the feces, and the earthworms that you put, there's a whole unit underneath. immediately begin to compost that, and people who are using it are making money selling the fertilizer. It doesn't smell, there's no odor, there's no mosquitoes. So that's huge. And I was really worried because when you go into these, people miss the hole. So little kids, adults, and they're in bare feet. Well, you can picture. That's not good. You might as well have open defecation, in my opinion. So this is nice. They monitor, World Vision monitors well after the project's over, which I really like too. And 8 in 10 wells by World Vision are operational 20 years after they're built. So that's pretty good. All right, so our goals: potable water for war resettlement villages in 4 sub-counties through wells and protected springs. And we will teach them how to form well committees, collect the fees for it, oversee the wells, and take care of the wells. For each household, there will be latrines and hand washing stations, a rubbish pit, low particulate clay stoves. There'll be a shared shower. We'll train the VHTs and TBAs to prevent malnutrition and handle obstetric emergencies. And we estimate that we're going to be reaching over 3,300 people. It's supposed to be a $250,000 project in order for World Vision to match it. We have raised, how much? $242,060. So we need a little teeny bit more. And that's what I'm hoping that you'll be willing to help us with, if possible. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
What kind of pressure are you getting from the Muslim? You said there was, what, 10, 11% Muslim. What kind of pressure are you getting from the Muslim?
From the Muslims?
Yes.
Well, there is 12% Muslim population there, but the ones I have met, that's not an area where they have the, like in North Africa, the, can't remember what they're called, but they have these training schools for kids. And most of the time, I don't know how to compare it without being insulting, but they're uneducated imams. Well, they're not even imams, they're uneducated teaching, so it would be like rabid, far-right evangelical, something like that. The ones I've met in Uganda, the imams have been very, very reserved, very quiet, very well educated, and very gentle. And so we're not getting any negative from the Muslim at all. And in fact, some of them are working with us. So that hasn't been a problem.
Other question is the forgiveness parts on the government buildings because of the influence of the missionaries in the past?
That, you know, it's, let me just tell you about a little experience I had this, not this past year, but the year before. We were at a ceremony at Wailea School, which went on all day long. And they had invited 2 Anglican ministers to preside over it. It's an Anglican school, which is like Episcopalian. And they had invited the MP, the member of parliament from Kitgum. And he was a pretty 6'6", powerful guy. And he looked at us and he said, I don't know what he thought we were doing. He said, you come here from the United States and you try and tell us how to be Christians. He said, we're better Christians than you are. And I didn't argue with him because they really do believe everything they've been taught. They really do. And I think there's a compatibility really between Christianity and Islam. Yeah, so that's not been an issue. Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. Anybody else have any questions?
So how often do you go to Uganda?
Well, I usually go at the beginning of a project to make sure it's off the ground. I'll go halfway through, and then I go back to evaluate it with the team afterwards. Right now, one of our team, Nancy Dixon, wants to go over there and learn how World Vision does this. and also wants to be sure that Rotary has a real voice in this the whole time, that we're equal partners. So she's planning on going 6 or 7 times. Which, by the way, I put this paper here, and I'm not joking. It's got the summary of the project, but it also has come to Kiktum as a volunteer. If you have a wild hair and would like to come, I'd be happy to have you come. I worked there from 64 to 69, so I have so many contacts, and it's so much fun. You want to go into a real hut and have real food, or you just want to see the game park, or you want to help. A lot of people, my nephew went for 6 weeks with me, and one of the things he loved doing, which he didn't plan on doing, he actually spent a lot of time with digging wells, but he went to the pre-primary school and he read to the children. Well, he's 6'2", and he's a good-looking guy and very personable, and the kids just swarmed him. They loved him, and that was so pleasurable for him and nice for them to hear somebody speaking English with an American accent. Yeah. So anybody who, I've got my contact number.
How many club members, how many of your club members are also involved to go over there?
To go over, we got Amanda and Doug Yarber are going to go over. And then I don't know, I haven't opened it up, saying, okay, who wants to come? I hope, and there are a couple of people from different clubs that I've gone to who said, we would like to come. And I said, that's great, come on. World Vision will organize all that, if you want them to.
Once you raise the money, what's your time frame?
Till the end of the Rotary year?
Yeah.
End of the Rotary year. And,
Yeah, this project really, her global grant would begin in the next Rotary year,
That's
but that
right.
would be July 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's doing all the preliminary work to raise the funds to get this.
Next Rotary year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess you can tell that, it's very obvious that Marion has passion for what she does. She's been doing this for many, many years. And for a woman to get up at 4:30 to come here to speak to us about this project and the work that she's already done to get to the 250,000 threshold is pretty incredible. And so hats off to this lady who, for this district, has made a difference in many, many lives of these people in Uganda.
What was it like going over there in 1964, 65?
It was the nicest thing I just graduated from Chapel Hill and I was 21. And I walked into the classroom. I never wanted to be a teacher. I mean, I don't know. If you knew me, you know I'm very left brain. I'm not an organized person. And when I walked into the classroom, everybody stood up. Every day. And I would say, good morning, class. And they would say, good morning, Miss McAdoo. And I'd say, you may be seated. And they'd all sit down. And they wanted to learn so badly. They wanted to learn so badly. It just was the most exciting thing for them. And, the whole world, they had just got independence from England. The whole world was their oyster. They were going to do everything. And one of them became a Justice of the High Court, just retired. A number of them went into education. A couple of them were ambassadors. One of them worked at the UN for 30 years. I mean, it was just the most wonderful thing. And it smelled good. Even the city, before they had cars. Yeah. It was great. Okay. Is that it? All right.
One question real quick. How many villagers does one of these latrine and hand washing stations support?
We wanted for each household.
So for
that's
each actual house?
Each actual household, yeah.
Well, how many of those are you guys going to build on this budget?
Well, it's going to be $500,000 budget, and the latrine, I just heard from Dr. Mecca, and he said it's $200 to build that.
Wow. It's a lot of bang for your buck. So,
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And World Vision's still a little bit shaky about this, so I have to keep writing. His name is Kim Lorenz, and he's in Seattle. And he said, okay, I'm going to check. I'm having my people on the ground check. Because they've done it in West Africa for years. So we would basically be introducing this to East Africa, which is exciting. Yeah. So, thank you very much.
you.
Appreciate it.
So Marion, in honor of your visit, we'll be donating a book to Karen Elementary School.
Great.
So I know we are a little early, I don't know, yeah.
I just got a text message from Rob, and he talked to Gail, and Hal's had to head back to Duke this morning. I don't know if that was part of Dan's announcement earlier, but that's in the last couple of minutes. So just keep the stances in our thoughts and prayers.
So Dennis, were you picking up, since we have Robbie and you here, do we want to do the new member?
Which position do they?
Sure.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go ahead and do that since Alex
You're on.
is here and yeah. Change in order here, so we'll finish up this morning with a great day in Rotary by electing a new member.
We get the word out.
Dennis has gone to get Alex's badge. But while and until he comes back, I would ask his sponsor, PDQ, Mr. Quinn, to say a few words about Alex.
Absolutely. Alex and I met probably about 6 years ago. I was attending an event and Alex was translating. They were Montagnards, weren't they? Or were they Vietnamese. And we struck up a conversation, and it was just phenomenal what dedication this young man had. I invited Alex to join the Children of Vietnam board shortly after that, and he did. And he has done phenomenal work with COV. Alex is a Chapel Hill graduate and has his law degree from Elon and is practicing here in town, family law and international law. So if you know any Vietnamese people that need a lawyer, this is a really good solution. So I think we are tremendously fortunate to have Alex. You will see his dedication and hard work very shortly. A number of you probably met him. He's competed against us at Pigsty with a Vietnamese twist on it. I hope you guys will welcome him and make him feel comfortable. I know he will be a vital part of Kansas City Rotary.
Thank you, Dan. And with a head nod with our friends Mike Allen and Chris Justice, I can't help but take the moment to note this is the second straight lawyer we are inducting here. In a pretty short period of time.
So 2 straight lawyers.
We're not done yet. So with that in mind, though, we are very pleased and honored at this moment to take on a new member, and we are pleased to welcome into the fold our membership, Alex Pham. We've just heard from Dan about him, and it is always mindful and special at these times to note what we are about and what we expect of new members, and to be mindful in our own mission of service to Rotary and to the world. Gate City Rotary was started and founded in 1991 as the first breakfast club in the community, and since that time, as we were about to enter our 25th year, we are committed to the aims and goals of Rotary, and we're looking for like-minded folks, and Alex Pham certainly seems to fit that bill. And Alex, we welcome and extend a hand of fellowship to you. We welcome similarly your own hand of fellowship as well as your strong back as the labors that we would be undertaking in sweat equity and actual labor and effort and service and commitment of time, talent, and treasure. We know you fit the bill for that as well. It is also mindful to understand and remember that among other things, Rotary is not a political organization, but Rotary is an organization dedicated to good citizenship and encouraging civic engagement among its membership for the betterment of the community and the world. Rotary is not a religious organization, but the same values that transcend the breadth of faith, communities, and traditions throughout our society are welcome and consistent with the aims of what we do. Rotary is not a charitable organization, but the aims of service, as has just been exhibited by Exhibit A here on our program this morning, are consistent with the values and virtues of what we choose to give benevolently, philanthropically, around the corner and around the world, literally. Rotary and Gate City Rotary is an organization of men and women dedicated to such service through the 4 avenues of vocation, club service, community service, and international service, as well as the fellowship we all share with one another as we go out and are ambassadors ourselves on behalf of Rotary and to the world. And in that regard, I'd ask everyone to stand at this time. Alex, we congratulate you at this time on behalf of Gate City Rotary. You are welcome and inducted hereby as a member of our club, and we know that you will hold strong and true in the days and years to come in that service above self, the tried and true merits of the 4-way test. And we welcome you aboard as a member here immediately in good standing and thereafter for membership in Gate City Rotary. And at this time, Dennis Marcotte has presented me, our chair of membership, with your Rotary pin to present to you, Councilor. Uh-oh. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I will let you. I will present him with this.
Don't quit your day job, Robbie.
Thank you very much. And Dan, if you could present him with his badge of membership.
I'll explain this later. Sometimes it takes a whole year to get blue. Good to go?
All right.
One thing I did forget, the district has put together some calendars. So, I mean, we submitted pictures from Pigstock. I know I had about 5 people who had responded to my email that they had wanted a calendar. I don't have the list with me at the moment, but if you know that you said you wanted a calendar, please see me. The calendars come in, they're $15. The district will be doing another order, so if you want to come look at one, and then when they do it again, you decide you want one, let me know and we can get that order in. Let's see. So we have our raffle. Let's see. And Alex, did you buy a ticket?
Really appreciate it.
Okay. You just hold one for me there.
Thank you.
Read the last 3 numbers.
899.
899.
That was fun.